How to find the right virtual bookkeeping service. This is obviously the trend in every industry, not just the accounting industry. For the accounting industry, it's really been around for quite a while. Now I think more than ever, the accounting industry at large is starting to realize that they have to get on two paths. Either you've been in the profession for a long time and you're seeking to form your retirement plan, which means none of this matters to you. You're just going to finish out what you're doing for the clients that you have and then move on and retire, so you don't want to be burdened with having to learn all this stuff. Or you have a long way to go in this career, which means you are being forced to adopt the new technology, the new way of doing things, which means really building a virtual bookkeeping or accounting service. And it's prevalent, it's been around, and there have been very clear sort of lines defined in terms of what the whole picture looks like for an accountant or bookkeeper who's providing services by way of being a virtual bookkeeping service. So for you as the small business owner trying to find the right service for your needs, there's some things I think that are important to be aware of. And as somebody who's sort of an insider, somebody who works with lots of accountants and bookkeepers to help them get ready for this world that we're living in, I think I can provide you with some valuable insights as far as what you should be looking for when you're looking to hire a virtual bookkeeping service. So first, let's talk about the ecosystem, because that's really the core of this. Things like QuickBooks Online were built to work with apps, and to complete an entire ecosystem, you'll need your virtual bookkeeping service is going to need to be familiar with the apps, which ones are needed in order to provide the service that they're providing to you. And that's going to mean a number of things. You've probably already seen me cover a bunch of apps right here on the Fundera Ledger. And when I get a new client in, one of the first things I start to assess is what apps am I going to need to service this client? There are the core apps that I use with every client, and then there are the industry-specific apps that I'll use based on whatever industry a particular client is in. Between the two, I'll complete the picture of what we call the ecosystem that we're going to operate in, how we're going to provide you with the complete service and picture. Next, does the accounting or bookkeeping firm drink their own Kool-Aid? Right? I used the example a while back. I received an invoice from a so-called firm of the future, and it was very clear to me from the formatting of the invoice that this was an invoice that was produced with QuickBooks Desktop, not QuickBooks Online. So this is a firm of the future, which is a term the company Intuit uses to refer to virtual bookkeeping services that have really adopted the cloud, and especially and in particular for their case, QuickBooks Online. And so this was an example of a firm who had not yet taken the time to move themselves over to the very platform that they're sort of living and operating in with respect to their own clients. And I understand the cobbler's shoes story, but as I mentioned in the write-up, my opinion is at this point that that's a weak argument. I couldn't possibly serve my clients as well as I do if I didn't have myself in these products, and if I wasn't using these products myself. That's my rule. I have to be using the product for myself first before I can really recommend it to a client. How am I going to know whether or not it's really going to work or where it might break if I'm not actually using it for myself? The marketing. What does this prospective virtual bookkeeping service that you're looking into do for their marketing? Are they using social media? They should be. They should be creating content so that rather than making claims about what they can do, they're going out and showing you. Now, it can be videos, it can be podcasts, should be blog posts either way, with the videos or podcasts embedded. The bottom line is you shouldn't have to rely on any quote-unquote claims they're making about what they can do for you and whether or not they can do it. You should be able to go and see firsthand based on the content that they're producing, right? That's what a firm of the future to me really does. That's what a virtual bookkeeping service should understand really well on the marketing side. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about how they need to have the whole picture in place. We can't do this in pieces. We can, some might, but if you're the business owner looking to assess a bookkeeping service and you see somebody who's doing some but not all of these things, you might want to wait until they mature before using them for your own business. Industry experience. One of the things that we teach accountants and bookkeepers who want to sort of work in this day and age and the latest and greatest technology is that we have to specialize. Now, a lot of people have had this school of thought for years anyway, that you should specialize and become really good at one or two or three particular industries. I used to not hold with those who felt that way because I used to feel that if you understood the core accounting fundamentals, you could apply them in any business model. But today I feel that way because of the whole virtual thing. because it means that we're going to need to learn lots more apps, and it's going to be really hard to keep up to date with all the apps for lots of different industries. So now more than ever, I feel it's important for a virtual bookkeeping service to be focused on 1 to 3 specific industries. If the service has been around for a while, they can focus on more, because as in the case of my own company, what I've been doing is building the verticals based on industries, hire the people, train them on those industries, and then I can move on to another industry and start building that vertical and the next one and the next one. So keep in mind that context is important. How long has that virtual bookkeeping service been around? If they're fairly new and they're serving more than 3 industries, that could be a red flag. If they've been around for a while, they can probably do more because they've been around long enough to have mastered each of these. So industry experience is important. Ask the prospective virtual bookkeeping service that you're looking into whether or not they have experience serving your industry, and even go as far as to say, how many clients in my industry do you serve? Look at their process in terms of how they're dealing with you even at the outset before you've become a client of theirs. How are they setting things up with you? If you're trying to get an appointment with them, are you going back and forth with 20 emails trying to nail down a time to have a call? Or are they sending you a link to a scheduling app that says, here, look at my calendar and see what's available and what works for you? That important piece right there gives you a strong indicator as to how efficient they're being, even with that part of the process, which from their perspective, from my perspective as the provider, is probably the most important part of the process to be efficient about, right? I don't want to spend a lot of time going back and forth in emails. In fact, as you'll see when I go on a little bit, we talk about different applications and even communications that they should be efficient, and email is the most inefficient form of communication out there. It used to be the most efficient, but that's changed dramatically. So look at their process, look around what's happening. How are they interacting with you? How are they getting you in? And how are they communicating with you? Deliverables, ask them about this. What are you going to get from them? You know, in the old days, I like to say, it was harder to produce reports on a schedule and send them out because somebody had to actually sit there running the report and saving it into either Excel or a PDF and sending it off to you. Now that can all be automated, especially with QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online makes it really easy. I can create a group of reports and say, send these out to my client on a schedule every Friday or every Monday, whatever works better based on that particular client. Really easy to set up. Ask your prospective virtual bookkeeping service if they do this, if they can do this, if they're willing to do this for you. Will they review the reports with you? Expect to pay more for that because it requires more resources for somebody to take the time out to review the reports with you. But if they don't have that even as an option in their infrastructure, to me that's a problem, because in this day and age, another part of the bigger picture of providing virtual bookkeeping services is to get away from the transactional part of things and more into the strategic, more into the overview. We have more of an opportunity than we've ever had before because we can be so efficient about getting the actual bookkeeping work done. There's hardly any data entry. In many cases, there's none. So why not use the extra time we now have available to us to provide more valuable to you as the client by reviewing those reports to you and giving you the strategic guidance and analysis that you can then use to help make important decisions to grow your business better, stronger, faster than it was before. The bionic business. If you're my age, you'll get that reference. Pricing. How are they pricing? Are they billing by the hour? If they are, that's a big red flag. Nobody working as a, quote, virtual bookkeeping service, in my opinion, should be pricing by the hour. They should be billing or pricing based on a flat rate, and I choose those terms carefully because a lot of people mix them up. Pricing is what happens long before they send you the bill, right? They establish what they're going to charge you and how they're going to charge. They should be charging a flat monthly fee in exchange for a predefined, well-defined set of deliverables, such as the reports that you're going to get each and every month, such as the payroll tax returns and sales tax returns that might need to get filed. All that should be clearly defined as what you're getting in exchange for that flat monthly fee. And this makes you more partners with that virtual bookkeeping service, because now nobody's worried about how many hours they're spending to get the work done. They may worry about that a little bit, but again, if they're truly operating as a virtual bookkeeping service, then they're using the apps and the ecosystem to get things done more efficiently, such that if they were billing you by the hour, they'd actually lose money because they'd be working fewer hours based on them getting better at their jobs. So talk about the pricing. That's very, very important as a component. Now, almost last and not least, I mentioned earlier that I'm speaking from really an insider's point of view on this. I work with accountants and bookkeepers. I've been doing this for a long time myself. And based on that, what I've tried to underscore so far throughout this video, and I want to emphasize again now, is that the firm that you're looking at, the virtual bookkeeping service, should be really completing the entire picture of everything that I've laid out before in this video. They should be doing all of it. They should have an ecosystem. They should be able to tell you, here's our onboarding process, here are the apps that we use, and here are the apps that you're going to see us using with you, and here are the apps that we use in the background. They should have a very clearly defined onboarding process and a very clearly defined ongoing maintenance process, and they should be able to explain that to you. They should be able to bullet point it for you, to outline the steps and the apps that you're going to be using with them. If they can't do that, I'd be concerned, because if they don't have a well-defined process, how are they possibly going to clearly define the work that they're actually doing for you when the time comes, right? So that's my insider's view. They really need to be doing the whole picture, and there's a lot of people out there who are doing bits and pieces of this. They're going to the cloud, but they're still charging by the hour. That's a problem. And those same people end up coming back to people like me and saying, I don't get it, it's not working for me. I'm a firm of the future, I'm doing all the stuff I'm supposed to be doing, and then we start going through these criteria, and we get to the pricing, oh, I'm not billing flat rates yet because I'm afraid I'm not going to charge enough and I'm going to lose money. And when they say that, that means that they're not getting the whole picture, and they're missing one of the most critically important pieces of this. Bottom line, from your own perspective as the business owner evaluating a virtual bookkeeping service, is that when you're interacting with them, anything short of a resounding hell yes should be a no. You have to be that certain that this is going to be the right fit for you. If you're not, then keep looking, because there should be somebody out there who, without even trying, can convince you and can leave you with that feeling. It's very organic. It's not a scientific process here. It's a very organic, how do you feel now that you've talked with the prospective virtual bookkeeping services perhaps a few times. Hopefully by now you've had at least a video conference with them if they're not in your area to meet in person. And based on all these interactions, you should have a clear feeling about that by the time you get to this decision point. And again, if it's not a resounding hell yes, then the answer is no. Keep looking, or keep working with them to satisfy yourself that you do have that feeling about them. That, my friends, is as much as I can offer you in a few minutes of video on how to choose, how to find the right virtual bookkeeping service. As always, I invite you to comment below, subscribe to our YouTube channel. I hope you learned something here and had some fun along the way. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the web.